So I wasn't planning on making a video today, but after what I witnessed last night, I thought it was the perfect time to record this video.
Wanganeen-Milera!
So I'm going to outline the reasons why I think Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera will stay at St Kilda and why I'm so confident. I haven't been worried at all about this signature. I think if you follow my Instagram or even my Twitter, I've been pretty adamant that Nasiah will stay at the club. So I'll outline those reasons in this video. But first, let's just touch on what happened last night. Biggest comeback by any VFL AFL club in the history of the sport from three-quarter time. What an unbelievable performance by not only Nasiah, but Max Hall as well, Mason Wood, Marcus Windhager, all those types. Hunter Clark as well even was prolific in that last quarter, and Rowan Marshall with that delivery to Nasiah in that last goal. What an absolutely perfect kick. And for Nasiah to set up that play with a minute to go, or I think he had like a 45-second window to go from the umpire making his decision to give St Kilda a free kick to him bursting out of the centre square. He had 45 seconds to think of the plan and then communicate it to Rowan and Windhager and Caminiti and then to the forward line. I think, it's just so special what he was able to do last night. And I sat there in awe just watching, I could barely even breathe. I've never felt such ecstasy watching St Kilda. Normally such a depressing club, but oh my god, last night was just unbelievable. So yeah, perfect time to make this video. I think we'll start with that performance last night. I don't think a leaving player would put in a performance like that. Across the competition, if you look at players, Oscar Allen, who isn't even playing for West Coast due to injury. Sam Draper's injured as well. Lee Kalia, I think, got dropped on the weekend. Tom Koning looks like, looks like a shadow of himself. He looks checked out. He doesn't look like he wants to be at the club. All those players who we're pretty sure are departing their clubs, they're all playing like absolute trash. And Nasiah, he just keeps boosting his performance, and he's become, probably not even arguably, he's become a top 5 player in the competition. I think everyone, after watching last night, would say that. There aren't many players who can do what he did. Even Nick Dacos, arguably the best player in the competition, he can't do what Nasiah did last night. He can't take an overhead mark. And that kind of performance shows why Ben Williams, his manager, would be telling him to not sign the contract. So there were indications early in the year. Ben Williams went on Gettable and told Cal Toomey and Riley Beveridge that if he was a betting man, he'd say Nasiah would stay at St Kilda. Caroline Wilson, I think last week, reported that St Kilda were under that impression as well, that Nasiah would stay. And just off basic deduction, you'd say that that's because his manager told St Kilda that they'd be interested in negotiating a short-term deal. And then Caroline Wilson said that the Saints were in the dark, so they were told that it wasn't as sure as a thing as before, and that coincides with Nasiah, improving his performances week on week, taking his game to new levels every single week. And
the complication is the manager, Ben Williams, is telling St Kilda that Nasiah has genuinely not made up his mind, whereas about 3 weeks ago the view was that he had made up his mind and there was, pretty much fait accompli that he would sign on Craig for 2 years.
Why wouldn't his managers do that? The fact that he's holding out for this long isn't an indication that he's leaving. It's an indication that his manager wants more money. And, managers have commissions, percentage based, I assume, and the bigger contract their client gets, the more money the manager gets. And I think Ben Williams is just trying to do what's best for himself and what's best for Nasiah financially. And, you got to respect him for it. That's what his job is. And although it is at the detriment of the sanity of us fans and even the club, it is the right thing to do for him. So that would be why it's taking so long. So you might be asking, why am I so sure that the decision is going to be stay at St Kilda? Firstly, the Adelaide clubs don't have the capital to satisfy St Kilda in a trade this year for Nasiah, top 5 player in the competition. Port Adelaide don't have a first round pick. They have futures, and it's not even a guarantee that they can use their futures since they I think they've only used like one first round pick the past few years, so they might need AFL approval for that. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. But yeah, they definitely, even if they do get approval, a 2026 first rounder, 2027 first rounder is nowhere near enough, especially in compromised drafts because of Tasmania. And then, I mean, you can suggest Bergman, but he re-signed for 2 years. You can't imagine him leaving. If he was to leave, that would mean Port Adelaide would have to push him out because they just re-signed him. He's already committed to the club. For him to leave, Port Adelaide would have to tap him on the shoulder and say, you know, we want Nasiah more than you. We want you to leave. And just imagine how much it destroys the fabric of the club, especially with Ken Hinkley leaving, who is perceived as a really impactful people's person. Him going out, Josh Carr coming in, who we don't know how good he is with the players personally. So, you know, Ken Hinkley leaving, Bergman being pushed out. Just imagine what that would, the damage that would cause at Port Adelaide. And Zach Butters would also naturally be in the conversation, but even him, like firstly, he's not leaving this year. That's what Kalzumi's been very confident about on Gettable. He apparently wants to see out his contract with Port Adelaide until the end of next year. But yeah, even him, like, he's not a straight swap for Naz. Like, he's older, he's more injury prone. He hasn't done what Naz has just done. So I think Port would have to add on more than just Butters on top of to get Naz across the line. Which kind of is crazy to say, but I genuinely believe that now. Naz is just an absolutely crazy talent. And if he went to Port Adelaide, he'd instantly push them up into the top 8 at least. So even at the expense of Butters, I think Naz just provides a huge dimension to that club. And then Adelaide, well, they have a late first round pick. They look like they're going to be the minor premiers. They're a chance to win the premiership, so their pick ends up naturally at around pick 15 to 18, and then after you consider the compromised nature of the draft, that pushes out to pick 25 plus. So that on top of future firsts from 2026 and 2027, considering the quality of Adelaide and their ambitions to win the premiership over the next few years, there's just no way even 3 of those late first round picks can satisfy St Kilda. I think if we were to trade Naz, we'd have to at least get back one, you know, top 5 draft pick, and the Adelaide clubs just can't satisfy that. So I think Naz, I mean, you could say Naz would do this himself because he's out of contract, but he would have to nominate for the pre-season draft. St Kilda would hold the pick, or they should hold the pick ahead of Port Adelaide, although it is a possibility that we overtake them now after their absolutely shocking 100-point loss to Adelaide in the showdown and us beating Melbourne. We could definitely overtake them, so I guess we can't rule that scenario out, him delisting himself for the pre-season draft. But I mean, Naz, like, can you imagine him doing that to us? Like, he's been the centerpiece to building the culture at St Kilda and what St Kilda has been able to achieve, and if he did that, then that would just be I don't know how the club would recover from that. If he delisted himself and sent himself to the pre-season draft to go to a rival club, I don't understand why that would happen and why I'm even talking about that. Like, that's just ridiculous. So we'll get to some kind of quotes from Naz and just some like indications from the media. Naz spoke to Josh Money, I think, after the Melbourne game earlier in the year.
Good trip, saw the family, so yeah, all good.
Do you sort of think with your connections to Port and your friends there and your family there as well, that if you do decide to come back, that's a club you wouldn't mind playing for one day?
No, I'm not sure. I'm pretty happy at Saint, so nah. Yeah, I'm happy at the St Kilda Footy Club, so.
He pretty much just said he loved the club, which I guess you could say every player would say that, but the way he said it, he was only there to visit his family in South Australia, but absolutely loves the club, and I think that's the indication. You can see, like, on field what he and the boys do, like, they're so closely connected and tight-knit. And then once you look at the stories and the dancing video of Ross Lyon piggybacking Naz coming out of last night. You can kind of see that Naz is in love with this club, and it would be a really hard decision for him to leave. So if we gave him just the option to stay for another couple of years to prove to him that we have the potential to have some on-field success going forward, then I think he would give us that opportunity. I think 2 years on the surface from an outsider seems palatable. And then on top of the club giving him the option to extend further beyond that. So the contract is pretty much in his control as long as he commits to us for the next 2 years until the end of 2027, which is when Ross Lyon comes out of contract. And the senior core of St Kilda comes out of contract. Mason Wood, Bradley Hill, Jack Steele, Rowan Marshall, Jack Sinclair, all of those guys come out of contract in that year. So that's a pretty pivotal point of the St Kilda kind of rebuild. And if Nasiah can just commit until then make his decision when he's seen a couple more years, he sees the vision, the younger blokes overtaking the likes of Steele, Sinclair, etc., and just the culture that's being created at St Kilda at the moment. There have also been several rumours since Naz met with his manager last week. On Wednesday, I think there have been several indications since then that a 2-year deal is the most likely scenario, potentially 4 years, but that might include triggers. So 2 years are the rumours, and then you have a look at all these scenarios I've just outlined. Like, it's out of deduction, anyone would say that he's staying. I think it's just out of pure pessimism that people think that he's leaving. You know, the history of St Kilda being one of the most unlucky clubs in probably sporting history, losing all their good players, you know, Plugger leaving as well. I think it's just a bit of PTSD from Saints fans, which is understandable, but if you look into it, like, there's not many indications of him wanting to leave. Like, the family, Jace Burgoyne and Jason Horne-Francis are pretty much the only indications, and I don't think he'd leave. Like, he has mates at St Kilda as well, so even though they might not be as close as Burgoyne or Horne-Francis, I don't think that would be a determining factor for seeking a trade out of the club. And yeah, obviously family is the most important thing, but Naz has said that he loves the club, and he did re-sign after 2 years after his initial draft. Like, he was tipped to leave after his first 2 years following his rookie contract, but he did re-sign in the end, and this could probably just be a similar scenario. He waits it out all year, and his manager gets the money he wants, and he ends up staying on a short-term deal, hoping that St Kilda can prove to him that it's worth staying for longer. So I'll leave the video there. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we all enjoy watching the replay about 15 times like I have. But yeah, leave a comment on what you think about this Naz situation. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.